share with the person beside you, and think about, based off these two resumes, which one would you most likely hire for whatever job position it is, and why, and like what type of things you noticed on either resume. So just take a few minutes to talk about that amongst yourselves.
What do you think?
It's recording. Huh?
There's no It doesn't have enough.
Okay. I think we're gonna bring it back. So could a couple people share kind of what they noticed or which one they would hire, and why?
I would say I would hire the second one because it's more organized and there's a format to it. And there's more things that they can have inside instead of just what they're looking for from the company, is like what they have to offer.
Okay. I'm gonna repeat her just so like, I don't know if everyone else can hear, but she said, this one on the right has more, like information and it has like an outline to it, and they basically said more of what they could offer to the company, kind of giving them an idea in more detail. Any other? Yeah.
Summary versus objective. So Toby has a summary, Jeffrey has an objective. For the summary.
Right, so like we were talking about the summary over the objective statement. The objective statement on the left just kind of states what they're looking for basically, versus the summary you can kind of tell on the right. Talks more about themselves and what they are bringing to the table, and kind of gives the employer an idea of this is what this person is about and what they can do for my company. Yeah.
Toby's fills out the page better, and it just kind of looks, it's nicer to look at than the other.
Right. So she said that the one on the right fills out the page better and it's just nicer to look at. Also less white space than the other one on the left.
You need a balance of white space. So it could be tempting to, once you start building your resume, you get all gung-ho and excited, and you want to put all your activities on there and really describe them in detail, sorry. But you don't want to block a text to the point where they're off the plate because it's just so much information, right? So finding that balance of not too much detail, but enough detail so that they can get a overall perspective on who you are as a person and as a potential employee.
Did you have something to say? Oh, yeah, looks like you're raising your hand.
I was saying like you kind of use like quantities, like so like he said like he graduated with 50 undergraduates and like he lectured like 189 like health science.
Right, so going back to what we were talking about, quantifying, so you worked in a position like this one says, they encouraged up to 50 undergraduate students. It kind of gives the employer an idea of what exactly you were doing versus just saying you were helping students. That could be one person versus if you did 200 students. That's a big difference. So you want to quantify to kind of give them that idea of like the level to which type of work that you were doing. Yeah.
Toby's name is easy to locate and understand, whereas Jeffrey's isn't the biggest thing on the paper.
Right. So Jeffrey's name is kind of the same font as like the rest of the things on the resume versus Toby's is the biggest thing on the paper in it, your eye automatically goes to her name. Or yeah.
Like, Toby, they really use like a lot of the bold and underline and like italicized on how like different more important aspects versus like Jeffrey just how like all the time.
Right, so that's just another formatting thing, bolding some things or making certain things stand out more. But whenever someone's looking at your resume for the few seconds that they are, certain things stand out and it's gonna catch their eye versus if everything's the same font. So yeah, those are definitely some good things that y'all pointed out. Oh.
There's really no description to action verbs on Jeffrey, so you have no idea what they did with each organization. It's just kind of there.
Right, right. There's no description under Jeffrey's resume, so you really have no idea what they did. Science club, they could have just been a member versus being the president. You have no idea the extent to which their involvement was.
All good answers. I love it.
Alright. So right here is a list of different things you can draw from when you're really trying to decide what you have in experience. Like when I was a sophomore, for example, just first time actually trying to find an internship, which is wrong, you should try to find a freshman year. So I was starting that and I was thinking, man, the only experience I have so far is like I've done manual labor over the summers. So I was looking at that, and then like when you really look at this list and think about it, like, oh, I've been volunteering, like I was the vice president of my dorm. There's really so many more things that you can put on there that have experience that you can really show, like you had leadership or teamwork or critical thinking, things like that. And for me specifically, I did study abroad, which is technically under the education system, or the section. But anytime I have a resume or like I have to talk to an interviewer, I always bring that up just because that is like really specific and not that many people have studied abroad. So it's nice that I have that can show character traits, like I don't mind like getting in uncomfortable situations, like going across the ocean, just stuff like that. So just try to know that you have more experience than you think you have.
Any questions about that?
Also, we're going to cover doing the summary versus objective statement. Like we were saying earlier, the objective is really what I want from you, which is not really what it should be anymore. We're mostly leaning towards summary statement, which is what I have to offer you, which you can go ahead and say your skills and your strengths that you can bring to the company. And when doing this, you should definitely look at the job description that the company has, like the qualifications they're searching for, and include those specific words in your summary statement. Like for example, for the summary statement, the qualifications were probably someone who was energetic, had worked in the clinical environment, responsible, a leader, a positive attitude, enthusiastic, likes initiative, take the initiative on things, and he was able to sum it up in 2 sentences right there. And that's all it takes really to personalize your summary statement for a specific company. And it also shows that you took the time to read the job description, unlike some people. Alright, and then we're going to do another activity.
Actually, I think we're kind of running a little low on time, so is it okay if we, at the end, if y'all have questions about how to write the summary, we can answer those. But I think just in the sake of time, just to make sure that you're pulling, if we want to go to the next slide and just show briefly, like under the qualifications section, that's where you pick out those words for your summary statement. So things like detail-oriented, motivated to serve, you would use phrases like that in the summary.
Okay, so right after your header, you're going to want to put your education. So this is where formatting and bolding and italicizing come to work. So you really want to highlight your institution. You want to highlight your major, your graduation date, and your GPA. And as we've mentioned before, your overall GPA is higher than a 3.0, then you're going to want to put it. You can put your major GPA if it's higher than your overall GPA. Or you can, what we call, emphasize the good news. So if you didn't do so well in, say, your first semester, then you can say, I've had this GPA since after that, basically. And as Sheldon mentioned, you're going to want to put study abroad experiences in your education, because it, it shows you that you're internationally minded and are willing to embarrass yourself or that sort of thing.
Right, and then when you get to the experience section, you're going to want to talk about, first thing you want to include what your role was, the company you worked at, and the dates that you were there, and then the location. And you want to make it to where that's formatted correctly, and it just looks good. It doesn't have to be a certain way, as long as it looks professional. A big thing to remember is you want to you want to bold your position there. So the company doesn't matter as much as what you did there matters. And then the bullets just start with action verbs, which is coming up in a little bit. But those are things such as managed, led, those powerful words that show what you did above and beyond the base job description.
Okay, so transferable skills, whenever you hear that term, it's basically skills that you might have through experiences that you have, but might not be specifically in like the industry you're trying to work in. So say you're trying to be an engineer or like an accountant, and the only job experience you have before you get internship experience is like a fast food worker in a restaurant or something like that. Even though it's not related to the job, there's still skills that you gain during that experience that can apply to any type of job. So for example, the example down here kind of shows you how you can work those transferable skills into a resume to impress an employer. So for example, if you work in fast food or in the food industry or any customer service industry, you have to talk to people, work on a team, work with others, know how to communicate with leadership. You might have to sell something or things like that. And there's ways that you can word it to quantify and use action verbs and make it sound more pleasing than just saying like flipping burgers or something like that.
So since we've been talking about using strong action words, that's using words such as collaborated or presented or administered instead of just the common, like doesn't really communicate your